Welcome to 10 Women, bringing together 10 women with 10 thought-provoking questions based on one theme.
During this episode of 10 Women, we'll hear 10 different answers to this question. How is your life different from the older women in your life?
You've watched other women age before you. How are you different?
I have lots of different thoughts come to mind, but I think about comparing my 55-year-old self watching other women, maybe in my family and my friends, hit 55. I think that I am more daring and more risk-taking. Mm-hmm. I'm doing different things. I'm a single mom at 55, so I think it makes me stand out and be different.
Oh, definitely. I think for me, it's just the perception of who we are as we get older. We're living longer. We're more active longer. I remember when I was young, I thought 60 was incredibly old, but here I am at 58. I'm pushing 60 with both hands. And so I think that perception of me being able to be active for a much longer period is very different than my elders. Before we hear the 10 answers, remember to take a moment to think about your own answer to this question.
How is your life different from the older women in your life? And don't forget that we want to hear your answers too. Follow our 10 Women series on Instagram to share your thoughts and to read the responses of others in our community. Visit our website to find other ways to connect.
My name is Ann Sparks-Baumgardner, and I am a caregiver. I'm a member of a women's organization that I'm very passionate about. I am a cyclist. I'm a road cyclist, and I love being out of doors. I love that question. I think of my grandmother, her name was Cecil, and she was this very Victorian grandmother. And at 75, she was a widow. There's no way my grandmother would have gone out and cycled 33 miles. I mean, she was, she never wore pants. I mean, I don't think she even drank. She was very Victorian, very, so I think it's a sign of our times, but you look at how we're younger at 73 now than they were 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. We're living longer. Medical science has got more things that will help us, but there's also a detriment to that because we are living too long, and some people are lingering. And I mean, the last 3 years, my mother lingered and lingered. So they would all be very proud of what I've accomplished, but I can see where the longevity it's a positive and it's a negative.
My name is Kimberly Burke, and I'm a human, a teacher, and a lover. Well, I don't really have older women in my life now, but I am so much more alive, awake in the world, active. You know, I think about, like, my mother, bless her, was old at 60. And I'm kind of the opposite. Like, in my head, I'm still that 16-year-old. But I want to go into old age with my tires squealing, kind of Thelma and Louise again, because I got a glimpse when I broke both my legs and tore my retina and was in a wheelchair for 4 months. And then COVID hit. So talk about kind of unprecedented trauma for me. We lost 14 people in our families and our friends. I couldn't work. I gained 60 pounds. I was just miserable. And it was the life lesson, because I didn't want to be the person that was afraid. I did it falling down the stairs, and I didn't want to be afraid to go up and down the stairs and to not have balance and afraid to fall and not be able to get up. And so I've just decided I'm going in with the tires squealing. I'm going to live to the absolute fullest that I can live, because tomorrow's not guaranteed.
My name is Abigail Seymour, and I am an entrepreneur, a lawyer, and an Enneagram 7. Well, many women who are not that much older than I am are really at the end of their careers. Or I have a colleague, actually, I'm 6 months older than she is, and she's a retired judge, and she's retired. And so I'm like, I'm literally a baby attorney. I'm just starting my career, even though we're so close in age. So I think in that sense it's different because chronologically I'm the same or close to ages of women who are at a completely different place in their career. That I'm in line more with women in their 30s who are just starting out. And when we went to this Taylor Swift concert, I went with two colleagues, one of whom was in her 20s and the other was in her 30s. And without even thinking about it, I said, oh, this is great. We've got like one from each decade. I was like 20s, 30s, and oh, no, I'm actually in my 50s. Like, I kind of forget that I was not just right there with them, right behind them. I do think I have a lot of energy for my age and for even, but I know other women, like my sister, I mentioned she's 18 years older than I am, and she just went on a bike trip. I think it's relative, but starting a very intense career at age 50 naturally is going to make me a little bit behind and a little bit different from other women, either my age or just a little bit older.
My name is Judy Fowler. I am an educator, a mom, and a team player. I feel like my life is leaps and bounds different. Being a lesbian, number one, period. If I can joke with that, right? I just think about, especially being, having the Korean culture, it's very much you are supposed to do things in a certain way and make your parents happy about things. And, there's traditional values and, supposed to get married. And Korean weddings, you have the version of the wedding where the wife fixed the husband's entire family this huge elaborate meal, all these different things, So I have a voice that I use. I have a voice that I want to foster with both my children, one boy, one girl. I want them to know that their voice matters. I don't know if I would call myself, I guess my definition and what I picture as a social justice warrior, I don't feel like I fit that, but I do feel that parts of that emanate in who I am, just naturally having to be who I am. I think about that just even alone. I mean, just having to, it's so wonderful to see like younger people who are LGBTQ plus, how open they are and the strength that they have. But that's really a small portion. We got to look at the statistics of how many are attempting suicide, all these things because of the life that they lead. So I feel that, again, kind of to a previous question, I'm really happy about the path I've had. I'm glad I was in sports. I'm glad I was able to establish who I was. I'm glad that gave me a strength. I'm glad it gave me confidence because it allowed, I didn't know it then, but it just allowed me to be who I can be now, which is one who can stand with my feet on the ground and appreciate the established space that I've created for myself. And I'm not going to take anything less. I look back at the things my mom has had to deal with. I think she has aged very gracefully. A lot of people do not believe how old she actually is. I can see it now more in her physical movements. She uses a cane for balance, things like that. But when you look at her, a lot of times people are like, what? I think with her aging, I'll be honest, I have looked at things that she has dealt with, and I have had to brace myself for those ages because as I have reflected, I am so much like my mother. Now, if I would have said that back to my 15-year-old self, I would have had a big argument about that because I would not have wanted to be, but I'm so glad that I am in so many ways. I mean, we would go to a grocery store and someone would just come up to her just randomly say, you just have this piece about you. They see these qualities about her. They don't know anything about her. So for that, it's always like, that's my mom, like you're proud of that. I don't know if I've had anyone say those particular things, but I do see parallels in the way she handles things that I'm very glad I've had her to model. So I have to say that's one big important thing. But I will say, like, she unfortunately, I remember my freshman year in college, she had to have a mastectomy. You know, so when I hit my late 40s, I'm kind of like bracing myself for the physical part of, oh my gosh, is this going to happen? You know, she's had thyroid cancer, you know. So again, those things I see, again, I think because we get so focused on the physical, but when I look at the emotional, the one thing I do probably, again, because of language barriers and culture, she just doesn't talk about things. She internalizes a lot of things. I like to process and internalize, but I will say things eventually. But I do think because I'd never had her model how to do that, it does take me a little bit longer to find the way to actually encounter a situation, which probably is a good thing because it makes me slow down a little bit. I mean, I have to explode as I want to sometimes. Because I often question, do I even know my mom very well because of the cultural, you know, the cultural space that I don't feel that she felt she had enough support from my dad to really elevate in our household. I almost wonder if she felt like it had to be whitewashed in a lot of ways. So, I mean, I still think now, and especially now that I have children, trying to bring in more of the Korean culture in my own ways. It's complicated. It's really complicated. I mean, one element that I even remember my mom saying is how she was looked upon differently because she married an American man. So even in their culture. So I think sometimes she's had to closet herself in some ways to cope and to be comfortable. That I parallel that I do that sometimes with certain things, but with some things I can't. Being who I am, being a lesbian, my family, we're going to be, but I do wish that she could have had some more strength and really put her foot down on, no, we're going to send Judy to Korean school on a Saturday, things like that.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I am a gynecologist, bicyclist, and someone who loves life. I think it depends on the person, actually. My friend Moni, who I mentioned earlier with you, who I was riding bikes with, she's 71 and still can outride me on the road any day of the week. She can make it up the hiking trails faster than me any day of the week. She doesn't have any problem with her weight. And so I think in a lot of ways her life is similar in the sense that we're at the same level of activity. But on the other hand, she does have a husband who has some chronic heart conditions. And so her life and her retirement wasn't what she hoped it would be. Going to places and doing all this physical activity with John, specifically her husband. As far as my mom is concerned, well, we were never the same in the first place. So, you know, I'm a lot less needing my life organized in the same way that she does. And I think she has a lot of trouble with managing and navigating even not so technological stuff, although a lot of it still is technological. I mean, even just her phone going out sets her off and that's happened forever, sets her off and makes it very difficult for her to adjust to that. But as far as whether or not like me at 55 was different than my mother at 55. Well, heck yeah, because we were always different anyway. And am I different from, say, the patients that I saw when I was first here at age 37 and seeing 55-year-olds? Now that's, again, it's very different. It's different by person. I look at somebody's age and go, oh my, they're the same age as me, and they look at least 20 years older. And then I have 80-year-olds who are still working. still actually gainfully employed and doing what they need to do and having a ball with it and still mentally sharp and moving around and doing everything they can. So, yeah, I think it depends on the person, how they age and how they develop their age. And I guess it would also depend on what they grew up with, although I'm not following anything my mother's doing.
I am Leanna Martin, and I am an aunt, a daughter, and a friend. I talked a little bit about being more independent. I feel like all the women around me are married or have been married, and so they are dependent on another human, which I'm not. Like, I'm used to being by myself. I'm good with being by myself. So that's the main difference I see. Like, a friend of mine who does a travel agency, like when I talk to her about going places by myself, she's like apprehensive and like, oh, you can't go by yourself. And it's like, I do everything by myself. It's like, not even, if I didn't do anything by myself, I'd never do anything. So yeah, doing stuff by myself is something I think I have that other people around me don't have, because they have a spouse to do stuff with. So
my name is Susan Sassman, and I am an extrovert, a creative visionary, and a nurturing kind of gal. My life is different, I think, mainly because I have a partner that I've been with for 46 years. And I've got someone to, help me through the hard times and to do a lot of the physical things and the technological things. And when you have cancer and you're getting fed through a, feeding tube, you've got someone right there 24/7 caring about you, lifting you up, helping you through. And many of my girlfriends are single. They're not dating, they don't have a partner, they're divorced, and I can see how different their life is because it's just them. It's Christmas time and maybe they have no family, they're spread across the country, or you've got to put up the tree and it's 8 feet tall and you don't have the manpower. That my life is really impacted quite a bit by the fact that I have a really good partner who I know will always be there for me. It gives me a lighter load to think about, that together we can tackle whatever comes our way. And if I was single, I think I would be more apprehensive about that. The other thing is, I think I'm happier than most of my girlfriends are when it comes to things like worrying about weight, which seems to be a really big deal. Of course, the wrinkles and the eyesight and the hearing and all of that. I think I'm a little bit better on that score. I'm a little different in that way, that I still have quite a bit of energy and creative energy. So when I think of something fun to do, I can get very excited about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. I don't see a lot of that in my older girlfriends. They're pretty much just getting through the day. And I think sometimes they rely on me to help spark that in them, because we all have it in there, right? That happiness factor, and happiness is a choice. And doing more of what you love is a way to be more happy. Of course, a lot of people can't identify what it is they love, but I can. And so I practice a lot of that. And that, coupled with the fact that I have a really good partner, that sets me apart from most of them.
My name is Abigail Dunn Moses, and I am an educator of adults who heals the brokenhearted. I have more vim and vigor. I'll give you a good example. I started a program in my cul-de-sac, and the program's called First Sundays. And on First Sundays, I cook for the neighbors. I don't know any women my age that would spend their extra time, extra money, extra effort to cook for the neighbors. But I love it. I mean, it gives me life, because I'm divorced. My children are older, and I'm a mother. You know, what do mothers do? They cook for their children. I I don't have the children I had. So my neighbors are now my community. And there's an older couple there in their 80s, and a younger couple that are in their early 70s. And they are so appreciative, and they spoil me back. Wonderful, wonderful experience. And I call them ahead and tell them what's on the menu so they can start salivating. And it's global fusion food. I might do a stew with fried plantain. Another time would be jollof rice. Another time might be King Ranch casserole. All kinds of different things.
My name is Marie Leonard, and I am a mom, a daughter, and an energetic lover of life. Yeah, so I think about my family, and I think about my mom, and then my grandma and all of her sisters, because she had a whole slew of sisters, and they all grew up in Puerto Rico. And so I think I have lots of health opportunities. Like, I have a lot of access to health that I'm thankful for, that I can make appointments and get there, and I can pay for them, and it's not stressful. I can take medicine if I need it, and that's okay. So I think that hopefully is a good thing too, that the things that hurt my family in the past, that those things might be with me, but that maybe there might be some differences in terms of, cardiac care and things like that. So that's one thing. I think having a good partner that I enjoy spending time with and I enjoy living with. My great grandmother, we didn't divorce in Puerto Rico. That's just not what you do. But she lived on the top of the hill and he lived at the bottom of the hill. Like, that's what they did. They didn't divorce, but they did not live together. They lived separately in different houses on top of the hill, bottom of the hill. So living with someone who I enjoy spending time with and enjoy being around, I think that's a difference. This is funny. My grandparents, when we went through their things afterwards, after they both passed, and I was going through like ancestry and things, like, they divorced like in the 60s and never remarried. We thought they were married, but they had divorced the whole time. And so probably if some person who's an estate attorney is going to call me and be like, oh, you settled their estate as if they were married. That was wrong. But it's what happened. And so I think just that's one thing that in my family we haven't always had, is good partners who we enjoy to be with, who we can grow old with, that we don't just shun and close out. There's long times where my grandparents just didn't talk to each other, like whole years. And so I hope that isn't part of what, obviously it's a family tradition, but I hope that's not what I would choose to do. And so I feel good about that.
My name is Terry Wiggins, and I am a woman. I am a mother, and I am a daughter. I am healthy. I do not take any prescription medications. I eat healthy for the most part. Those macadamia cookies do come in periodically. I am still somebody who loves to hike or walk 3 to 4 times a week. And I have a lot of friends who are dealing with illnesses and diseases and take a lot of prescription medications. And they're not able to do those indulgences, perhaps, like I am, because they're focused on, again, that worry and fear and what's going to happen to me and that kind of thing. And so that's been something I'm very grateful for. I feel very blessed to be healthy. One of the things that I'm also able to do is to focus in on feeling gratitude over and over and over.
And I think I shared with you that I'm still working on that judgment thing, judging myself, judging other people. And I have the awareness of when I do it now, because I've practiced enough. I've been doing this for quite a while. And so I'm able to just say, don't want to be there, let it go, and go right into feeling gratitude in my heart. So that's been something that I know a lot of people that are friends of mine kind of stay in this place of anger, or they stay in a place of sadness, like my mother did, or they stay in a place of fear. And it feels like life is passing by without being a participant. So I just recently read this about gratitude, and I was so excited about it. It seems that if people are in gratitude, they have more ease and grace in their life, and they live longer. So I'm promoting gratitude for all of us. So there.
So let's bring it back to that question. How is your life different from the older women in your life?
And how difficult was that question for you to answer? And be honest.
After you answer this question for yourself, think about reaching out to other women in your life for their answers.
Remember to share your answers with us in our 10 Women series on Instagram. We can't wait to read your answers. And speaking of answers, we've actually got some different answers on our Instagram page. That's because we asked all the women surprise questions to learn more about them. Join us on Instagram at 10 Women series to hear their answers.
We hope you will join us every Tuesday for a new episode wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. This series is distributed both as an audio only and a YouTube video format to allow you to enjoy each episode your preferred way. Be sure to visit our website at www.sassyyam.com to learn more about this series and all the places you can find us. 10 Women is a production of Sassy Yam Media. Amy Brown and Sarah Howard, producers. Feel free to send us an email at sassyyammedia@gmail.com. Special thanks to the women of Season 1, Kimberly Burke, Judy Fowler, Michelle Horvath, Marie Leonard, Leanna Martin, Abigail Dunn Moses, Susan Sassman, Abigail Seymour, Ann Sparks Bumgaudner, and Terry Wiggins.